In this video help tutorial, we're going to be looking at the application named the Book Merchant Management and what it's for. This application assists people that are in the business of buying and selling books, tapes, and whatever as far as media is concerned. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you that we have a lot of individual ways to sell it, buy it, or trade different media. Okay, so this is what we're going to start out by in the overview. We're going to start at the top and move down through the different screen elements in the book customer data. We won't go into the individual way these work. We're just going to cover the interface at this particular overview. The first thing you're going to see up here is we have what is called an add button, and that's going to add a record, which makes this one of the primary screens in the application. There are 4 different primary screens, and what they do is what they're doing is setting up the relational link using an ID like the one here in the corner. And this is number 2. Each time you start a new client, it'll numeralize this one more version up, so it'd be 2, 3, and so on. And what that does is it creates the relational link for the screens that follow this particular one here, like this is part of it. This is actually linked to the customer data, and this is called a portal. A portal is a multi-row record that allows you to put many different records in here. This is a single input set of fields for one customer. This is for many books. And each time you add any data in the next blank field, it's going to create another record and so on until you fill as many records as you want to put in for this customer. In the application, the way we use it is we add the record. Now, in this case, this is the primary record because it has the client in the record. But as I go down through the different screens here that are in the application, I'm going to explain how they're used and when they're used. The customer sales screen, which is the one that we actually create the sales in, is also part of the book customer data. And what that is on this side is a customer, and then these are the books that he's purchased or the media of whatever type that he has purchased. So that's what this screen is. There's a customer list screen, and the customer list screen lists each individual record for each person that is added as a client. This is the client information over on this side. This is the books that they purchased. Book sales, or when you create a book over here and you use the drop down to add another book from the books in stock, that is for the individual client as they buy that book or media. That's what they're buying when they go to the book sales screen. Customer sales screen is the one that shows individual customers and a listing, and we'll show you those later so you'll understand exactly what a listing looks like. Books in stocks is really the inventory screen, and you create new inventory records like you have an add button here. You're going to be adding books there, and this is creating your inventory. Then you have a books list of all the books that you've created, just like you created clients. The next one is the authors, and in the authors what we're doing is we're looking at not just buying books, but we're also looking at doing research for books that we may want to look at or buy, or books that you're looking for different clients that have requested books. And this gives you the ability to go out and search to see what the cost of them are and what they are selling at in the market. And you can go to different websites like Amazon and throw in the ISBN number and see what they're selling for and what's the span on them. What is the low bid on the lowest book as far as price is concerned for selling. This gives you an idea what you're going to have to pay for the book or buy the book if you're a buyer, or if you're going to buy it from either a website or at a garage sale or something like an estate sale. And that's where you really make out, because you can buy books for 25 or 50 cents a piece and turn around and sell them at the full price. And if you have an iPhone or iPad with you, you can go ahead and look up what those books are actually selling for, especially on the iPhone because you have a internet connection no matter where you're at. So you can find out what that value is before you buy books. I mean, if you buy a book and it's 10 cents and you couldn't sell it for 20 cents, then it's not going to make sense to buy that at that cent. Author list, that is a list of all the authors and their books that they are publishing and that you want to buy or sell for somebody. Sales invoice, that's the actual invoice for, like, if somebody buys a book, it creates a record when you buy the book and book sales, it creates an invoice so that you can charge the client and print the invoice for that client. There's also printing labels, which are address labels for the client that you're sending it to. There's also Authors Portal, and the Authors Portal is the underside portal for all the authors, meaning that this is the individual records for the author's screen, and that's where you can do searches on authors and books. The Books Online list, and the book search screens are a combination of screens where you're looking at a list of books, and in this case you're searching for books. When you search for books, basically what you're doing is you're going in and referencing or researching to see what books are valuable, and you may want to create a list of books that you're looking for that have a good turnaround value as far as resale. And that's where you could be able to very quickly, if you create a book search list here and the individual authors of books, in the author screen, you can capture the information for the best prices that are out there to purchase at and the best prices to sell them at in that individual screen. So there's quite a bit going on in this application. And then there's Video Help, which is one of the screens that's laying down here. That is like the video you're watching right now, is going to be videos to explain how to use the application on all these different screens, plus additional information that will help you to be a better merchant. And a lot of information is provided there. We also have support on the support site. I'm going to go over here and show you that next. Support is a free, comes free with your application. So if you need support, this will take you to the support site. And at the support site, you can start a chat when we're online, or you can go ahead and either leave a message on our website or contact us on Skype. Or you can email me at vclement@gmail.com so I can answer your questions. So let's take a look at this select actions. First one is a thing called Start Find. What is Start Find? If you are using this application, you can go and take these records over, or these fields over here, and do a find. You can do a find in a portal, but the results may be not what you're asking for. So if you want to do a look at a record, you would go to a portal record and then do a look at the portal and do the find there for a portal record. What that does is shows an individual record instead of the actual record that you see in this screen. It would have just that one in the row that you click on. Let's go ahead and start a find, and what I'm going to do is I changed records when we switched over, just to see if you're paying attention. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to try to find the person that we were just in, which was number 2. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to you can put in the name, first name, last name, or the individual names together. Either way you put them in, you're going to find that person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little oddball on you. I could do it easily by just doing first or last name or the full name, but I'm going to flip it up here and I'm going to show you, get a little spyglass for search. And I'm going to go over here, and I was watching and I noticed that it's number 2 is the record I want to go find. So I'm going to click on number 2, or I can just hesitate here and back off. And when I click in there, you also will see that you can paste in information, paste in text, or say undo. In this particular case, I'm using not the browser, but I'm on the desktop in a simulator. And normally, if you're using this on an iPad or iPhone, you wouldn't have a cursor. The desktop application would look very similar to this, but I'm actually simulating an iPad 2. The iPad 2 gives a nice clear screen as far as the simulation. On the desktop, if you try to show a retina, it gets a little fuzzy and a little hard to see, believe it or not. So I'm going to put in the number 2, and I'm going to go ahead and complete the find. I'm going to go over here and say, do the find. And it's going to flip back over, and it's showing this, and I'm going to come back to that. Came back to Alex Bond, which is the record we were just on when I was in the last screen. So you can always, if you do something and it changes the screen and you don't want to be there, you can always really quickly get back. Now, I'm going to show you something that I've added that is kind of a shortcut. If you go up here and you click Show, you can skip having to do a find if you're just looking for the record of the person over here rather than the ID. And basically what I would do is I just say, okay, I want Michelle again. So I'm going back to Michelle. Now this is a little bit more difficult because if you have 1,000 clients or so, it's alphabetical, but you're going to have to scroll quite a bit. So you probably, based on how many records you have in selection, you probably want to go ahead and just scroll or do the find. You have the choice. Let's talk a little bit about the find. If you go over and you click on the record and then come down and look at this little bullet here, it's going to show you that you have 3 records in the found set, meaning that if we did a find, right now we have 3 records in the found set and none omitted from the set. We're on the first record of 3, and number 3 would be the last record in this group. I can actually go back by clicking here and go back a record. In this case, I've got a blank record there, which is kind of unusual. But I can also do this too. I can go back to the first record, or in this case, I can go to the next record. Well, I think I have a find that is not a good find. So what I need to do is I need to go back and do a find to get back in again, or click over here and say, go to Alex Bond. See now, you can see how fast you can maneuver around the screens by doing things like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I wanted to show you that again. I'm going to go back. I'm going to click on a field. Doesn't make any difference which one. And I want to show you the rest of these. Previous and next is if you're in a field and you click next, it's going to move to the next field. If you go previous, it's going to back up. If you want to move from record to record, back and forth, you can use these. You can copy. For example, I copied the record. If I go paste, it'll paste another record in. I don't want to do that. It's not acceptable to do that. And down here, if you're typing anything, it'll give you selections as far as almost completing sentences for you. And also you can go next record, previous record. Done will take you out of this lower screen. You can do bold, italic, and underline by bringing up an editor. You can push this whole thing down by dropping this down. Now I'm going to point out something you do not want to do, and that is to use the plus and negative buttons. These are adding a record and deleting a record. The interface is set up as the developer has designed it so that you have all the buttons on the screens, so you do not need to do that plus and minus button. In a really hard push, if you had to use it, I could explain it, but you call for tech support before you start doing those kind of things, because you'll probably put yourself in a real bad pocket. Okay, so let's kind of recap what we just did. We basically explained adding records, using the menus and how and what is on those menus. We did do action, but we haven't completed it yet. We're going to come back and talk about this. First, next, prior, and last records, we're moving between them. We can always say print records. When we say print, this will pop up and allows you to pick a set of records based on the current record or the found set. In the current record, it's only going to print the current record. If you have several records in the found set and you want to print them, then click on found set for the number of records that you're actually viewing, and it'll go ahead and print those. Blank records, as formatted, underlined. This is really nonsense. You don't need to use that. It's not for something that we're going to be doing. Number of pages, if you wanted to print duplicate pages of the records that you're going to print, you'd say number of records that you want to print. Range in pages, you could print a range basically from, to, or all pages. You can go paper size, and it's pretty well universal around the world, or you can do more, which is anything you want to customize. Orientation, landscape or portrait. Scale, if you are a laser printer, you can scale it to whatever scale size you want. 25 all the way up to scale to fit or custom size. And right now we're set at 100%. Next one is maximum DPI. If you have a printer that has a large DPI up to 600 DPI, or full DPI of anything that is above that, you can just put full in there. And I love this one. I can print a screen as a PDF. I can view it by saying, go ahead and give me a view of it. I can email the screen. Now, in the email of a screen, you have to be aware that it's going to be a paper size. Whatever paper size you set it to, that's how much of the screen coming from the left to right that it's actually going to give you. Or you can save a copy of whatever you're viewing on that screen. PDF is pretty nice because I can say view it. It'll take a second, then it'll actually come up and show you in a large size. That's actually what we're dealing with right here. So I can also go back down. When I click on the screen or tap on it, I can say done, and I would go back to the regular size page. And while we're here, let's try something. Double click, zoom, so you can see, you can zoom in on stuff if you're on, and that is the same thing when you do taps. If you tap on your screen, typically it's a 3-finger tap, or spread the fingers and compress the fingers. When you click again, it'll come back down. So you have a lot of things. Any finger gesture you want to use, you can use on this application. If it doesn't work, it's just because there are some that are limited, that are really obscure for doing a database on the desktop. But most of those are zoom in, zoom in and zoom out, and we have those available to you to use. Okay, let's go down and do the rest of the things here. If you want to, say for example, you're in a list view and you want to omit certain records in the list view, you can do that by saying omit a record. It'll take it off the current view. If you want to show only the omitted at that point and flip the whole view over and just show the ones that you've omitted, you can click Show Omitted. If you want to export records, you can do that from an iPad, but you cannot, and an iPhone, but you cannot import records. The iPads and iPhones don't have the facility for importing. But if you export something, you're going to get a screen up here, and it's based on whatever screen you're in for the standard records in here. It would not be the portals. So if I wanted to take all the people that I had in my listing here, and I wanted to do a found set maybe by a city and or a zip code, and then I wanted to print them out or make a list so that I could email that list to that city or that zip code, basically what I do, I'm in the Book Merchant screen, which is this one, and I could pick the fields I want to have exported. So I could pick the address and whoever I wanted, like the city and the customer and so forth. In this case, I have a mail name, which is both first name and last name, or you got a last name or a first name. You can do it either way. And then you could have things like sell prices, state, zip, and all those kind of things that you may need as far as sending things out to people. Okay, let's go ahead and say done with this. Back over here you have the type, and this would be the type of field. I like to use Excel because it's so easy to manipulate. If I have a word processor, I'll use merge. And if I just wanted a tabbed eliminated list to put it in any kind of other application, I would use tab. If I wanted to use it in an email thing for a CSV, if that supports your type of email thing, I would go ahead and do a CSV. For example, files like Gmail could use a CSV to implement a list of people that you want to email to, and you can create a group using CSV files or add them to a CSV file group. Okay, so fields. Once again, this is the same thing as before. We could pick up groups of different fields. And the layout, use the layout formatted. That means it'll be in the layout order by the names and so forth if you wanted to export everything out or from the group that you've created, those fields. You can email that information or you can save it as a file to your device or your desktop. In this case, it'd be probably a desktop to save it to. So if I clicked it, it would go ahead and save a copy to my desktop. Okay, so remember the last thing we looked at was a support site, and that's a good place to stop right here. If you have questions at this point, go ahead and contact us at our website. Thank you.